ensure that it never happens again. When someone enters police custody, they deserve the dignity, respect, and safety that any of us would want for any family member of ours. And when Randy Cox was arrested, he entered a police van able to walk, and now he is not able to walk. We need to ensure that this never, ever happens again. From day one, we've been committed to transparency and accountability and action. As you all know, within 24 hours, we notified the public of the incident. Within 48, we had shared the videos with the press and the public as well. We alerted the appropriate state authorities, and they took action. We fully cooperated with the state's attorney's criminal investigation into the matter, and cooperated with their eventual decision to bring criminal charges against the 5 officers. We've issued a comprehensive set of new departmental policies, including around prisoner transport, including around the requirement to ask if individuals in police custody require medical support, including additional training, which the entire police department has received at this point, both in duty to intervene and active bystander training. And today is yet another important moment in this process of accountability and action. As you know, the criminal investigation, once it was completed, we immediately initiated the internal affairs investigation. The internal affairs investigation is run by the police department, and the integrity of that internal affairs investigation is very important. It's important to me, and it's important to Chief Jacobson. There should be no outside influence into that process from me or anyone else. Some have been asking why are we doing separate press events, and I want to make clear that while I support and stand by the chief, ultimately as required, this is his decision and recommendation to the police commission. The next steps here are that the police commission will review and assess the chief's recommendations and ultimately make the final decision on the actions that are necessary for discipline, whether to accept the chief's recommendation. They also have the power to alter it or reject it. And I want to just finish by expressing my deepest condolences to Ms. Doreen and Randy and your family. I can't imagine the challenges that you have experienced over these past many, many months. And I know that because I've heard this from you and from Randy's sisters, that you want to ensure that justice occurs and occurs expeditiously. And I know that I believe you share with me the urgency and oftentimes the frustration that these processes take longer than any of us would like. But I'm grateful that you have continued to hold us to a high standard, and my deepest condolences to you for the struggles that you and Randy have and your family have experienced. I can take any questions that folks have. The federal, you're talking about the civil case? We had one settlement conference where the parties were involved and the judge was involved. The discovery process has ensued now. It is very important, and the judge was very explicit to the parties in the settlement conference that the conversations in the settlement are kept confidential. And so I can't share any details about the conference itself, but we stand ready and willing to continue to engage with the other attorneys representing Randy and his family as this process ensues.
Do you have an estimate of when that discovery process could perhaps wrap up and this process in general will wrap up?
I don't. These things, it's a complex case. These things take quite a long time.
And have you had any recent conversations that you were trying with the insurance companies that represent the city?
Do you want to?
Anything new from them in regards to this $100 million civil lawsuit?
The insurance companies have been monitoring the lawsuit, but there have not been, at this point, to the best of my knowledge, any further conversations with them. The parties are now engaged in the discovery process, which will go out according to the schedule that was filed by the parties back in, I think, December. The process goes until October or thereabouts of 2024. So it is a long process. It's a complicated case. There'll be lots of witnesses, expert witnesses, depositions. So it'll be a long process for the discovery.
As you'll recall, both parties have agreed to that schedule on paper as to how these discussions, the settlement discussions and discovery in the case will move forward.
That's until October of 2024, about?
Yes.
Okay. Discovery.
I'm sorry?
Discovery until
Yeah,
October?
until October, and I believe the trial date is just, as of now, is December 15th, 2024.
Discovery is not even scheduled to be completed for another almost year and a half.
That's correct.
But to be clear that throughout this entire time, in any case, both parties can come to a voluntary settlement if we arrive at the same place, right? And so that is the timeline that both parties have agreed upon. My hope is that we don't have to get to trial on this, and I think we've all been explicit about that goal.
Mayor, I have a question particularly. When you look back on, how everything has sort of transpired over the last few months, and I asked this question particularly in the wake of, the Tyree Nichols incident, which I know you and Chief Jacobson put out a statement on. State's Attorney, Jack Doyle took 6 months, I think, to bring criminal charges against officers in that incident. And it's 9 months in total now that we're getting now just the recommendation of the fires. I mean, I know you're separate from those respective processes, but when you look at the timeline, knowing that other places have set a precedent, as Ben Crump, who's involved in this, has said, I mean, what comes to mind? How do you?
Yeah, I can't speak to Memphis. I would presume that they have quite different rules, quite a different contract with, presuming they have a police union. I don't know. But we've been moving through this process, I believe, as fast as we can, in a way that is responsible. Obviously, we don't have any control over the state's attorney side of things, as you acknowledged, but the internal affairs investigation, I mean, if you look at the internal affairs, and if you haven't already received it, I know that the police department's working to provide that to you. It is a very, very thorough document. We're required, through the contract that we have with the union, to follow certain steps to provide due process to the officers. And we also need to make sure that in the end, this case is a good one, that it will stand up in court if it needs to get to that point. So while I think we all share the emotion, or I'll speak with myself, I find it frustrating that these things take longer than any of us would like, than I would like. But we have to do it in the right way and ensure that at the end of the day we have the right result.
Yeah, no, and just build on that too. I know I'm not trying to make comparisons between police departments in different states that are completely different, but I just think just the notion of when you factor in the video, I think you and the chief have been very clear on record. I mean, how the video affected you all and what you saw and how you felt about that. So I guess I wonder, when you factor in the fact that there is video that has documented pretty much a lot of it. I mean, we've even seen video of how fast that van was going, I think 8 miles over the speed limit. Does that change anything about the timeline? I mean, I can't, that part, the video.
I hear your frustration. The officers are required to have due process as a part of the contract, and we needed to see this process through. And in every moment where we had control over things as the city, I can say that we did things as fast as possible, and that's everything from releasing the videos to implementing policy changes to implementing training, and now working through the internal affairs investigation.
And then lastly, I'll ask you too, is Chief Jacobson alerted us earlier too that the vans in this particular scenario are out of commission, except when it comes to court transportation. I mean, wouldn't it, I guess I wonder, if this incident happened, why are those vans still in,
So my understanding is that all the vans that would be used in the case where there needs to be a transport of many individuals have been equipped with seatbelts now. So it's very different than before when they did not have seatbelts. But only in the circumstance where there's multiple individuals that need to be transported would we use those vans. And again, they have seatbelts now.
Mayor, do you agree with the chief's recommendation that these cops should be fired?
Yeah, I stand by the chief. I appointed the chief. I've seen the videos like everyone else here. What happened was totally unacceptable. And so I stand by the chief in his decision. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, everybody.